Hello, this lesson is on atomic models and orbitals. And a general history of our atomic timeline. Democritus and Dalton were the first ones to even think about atomic particles, and then Thomson came along. He kind of modified their idea. Rutherford was J.J. Thomson's student. He modified Thomson's idea. And then Bohr modified Rutherford's idea. And then these four guys, Einstein, Heisenberg, they got together, Planck, and modified Bohr's idea. And so this modern quantum cloud model is what we currently use. So first up are Democritus and Dalton's model. And theirs was about 400 BC and then again in 1800 AD. They had the solid sphere model. So it was kind of like a pool ball. Which we know is now not the case because J.J. Thomson came along and gave us his model. That was about 1897. They called his the plum pudding model. It was though plums were stuck throughout pudding, just kind of hanging out there. Particles were distributed throughout the atom is what they thought. So you would have the positive and negative charges intermingling just randomly about the atom. And scientists then found that there was a positive charge in a dense mass, the nucleus. That gives us Rutherford's model. So Rutherford found this model about 1912. He was aware of the nucleus, but he wasn't really sure where the electrons were. So he knew that the nucleus was here based on his gold foil experiment. I've already talked about that. And he just thought the negative charges were wherever on the outside. So after Rutherford, scientists worked on his model and discovered that electrons were in discrete orbitals or energy levels, which brings us to the Bohr model. And this was about 1913. His is also called the planetary model because it looks kind of like planets orbiting the sun. So this model lasted for a while, and then scientists discovered that there's actually a probability of finding an electron within a certain region or orbital, that they're not actually following a track similar to a planet, just that you have a chance of finding it in a general area, which is the quantum mechanical model. And this was about 1930, and it was a collaboration between Max Planck, Albert Einstein, Werner Heisenberg, and Erwin Schrödinger. And they were all physicists, so they used a little bit of physics to come up with this model. And so if this right here is the nucleus, obviously there's not going to be any electrons there, so you have kind of a white area. And then it gets darker, and so where it's darker you have a higher probability of finding an electron. And then you'll notice it gets lighter again. This is called a node, so there's going to be a gap where there's a lower probability of finding an electron. And then it gets darker again, and so out here you have a higher probability of finding an electron. So this would be the first energy level, and this is the second energy level. And when you get here you start adding more electrons. So you notice that there's more dots and the density probability has increased.